Hey everyone, Nuclear Ninjas here, and I've decided that for my first video doing Pokemon Go PvP, we are going to take a look at my set that I used to hit Legend in the Great League Remix, and then the set I used to get Pikachu Libre in Ultra Remix. Now, I did hit Legend ultimately on Sunday, literally my last set of the day, so that's why my Pikachu Libre didn't get picked up until Ultra Remix. And the team I used to grind to Legend was Obstagoon, Drapion, and Shadow Hypno. Obstagoon Drapion isn't really a new core, we all know how that works. And I just decided to go with Hypno in the back because I tried a few different Pokemon and Hypno was just the one that worked the best. So I decided to run that team, and there's not really much of a particular strategy with this team. It's basically just play Obstagoon, hope I get a positive lead. If I don't get a positive lead, I swap to Drapion as my safe swap, and how my opponent's counter swaps runs from there. There's not a set way I necessarily play that because at that point it all depends on what my opponent does. So with that said, let's get into the battles. So jumping into the battles here, you can see the Obstagoon Drapion Hypnocore, and we are instantly able to pick up a 12-minute lobby timer against absolutely no one, which is absolutely fantastic. So instead of making you guys suffer through that, I'm going to go ahead and edit it out. Alright, battle starting. That means we picked up an opponent. We've got Ghost Burns Red and Obstagoon into Primeape. So right away we're picking up a very negative lead. Counter will rip Obstagoon apart. And we go Drapion, our opponent goes Mandibuzz. We're throwing these Aqua Tails when he's ideally only going to get one free turn of energy out of it. I don't trust fast move prevention. I know there's supposedly a technique to it, but in my experience it pretty much just works at the rate of chance. So when I have the option, I just go for the safer play of giving one free turn of energy instead of risking giving my opponent 3. So Mandibuzz is going to be spamming out Aerial Aces here. We're spamming out Aqua Tails. Everything on both sides is hitting for neutral, except for the Snarls from Mandibuzz, which are resisted, but we're not really worried about quick move damage from Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz is a bit tankier than Drapion, but Aqua Tail is a better move than Aerial Ace. And the Poison Stings, while they don't do much, do add up at least a tiny bit over time. And we're just gradually chipping away at this Mandibuzz. And now right here, he decides to shield, if I remember correctly. And when I see this, him shielding, I'm like, okay, that's it. We're going to try to flip switch here. He can't snarl me down ever, basically. And Aqua Tail is spammier than the Aerial Ace. So we go down, we double shield. At this point, it's a race to the next charge move, and he's on his 4 cycle. So we're able to farm up to 2 Aqua Tails. He's still 1 Snarl away from another move, and we are able to just throw these Aqua Tails back to back. I could have done another Poison Sting there, but I wasn't actually 100% sure at the time. I figured I'd play it safe and not risk him getting to another Aerial Ace if he was at it. And he's able to, unfortunately, Confusion down with Bronzong before I get to a move. We go into Obstagoon there for about half a nanosecond before he swaps to Primeape. And then we counter swap to Hypno. We can take a Night Slash. That's not a super big deal. We try to go for the Fire Punch right there because we know he's at Night Slash, but he does throw the Night Slash. So now 1 counter finishes him off. That's not a big deal. We can take a counter. And Obstagoon has a super dominant matchup against Bronzong. Nothing this thing has is going to take out an Obstagoon at this range. So all we have to do, he hits him with a resisted payback. So I mean, cool, but that's not going to do anything. And now these back-to-back Night Slashes are definitely going to be enough to KO. And to the bonus, we don't sneak a Confusion in. I don't know, maybe he stopped attacking because he knew it was over. And that is Battle 1. We are now 1-0 in our Legend run with 4 battles left in the set. And I don't know if you noticed, but I'm at 2993 here, so we actually only need a 3-2. We don't even need a 4-1 or 5-0 or anything crazy like that. Alright, battle starting. So we are picking up a match against Yer XP. He sends out Machamp into Obstagoon. So say what you will about this set, but no one can claim that the algorithm gifted me Legend. I am definitely earning this after back-to-back fighting leads against my Obstagoon. And this one, we not only have the back-to-back fighting leads, we actually have a hard counter lead and hard counter swap with Whiscash onto Drapion. Whiscash, obviously, as a ground water type, is one of the few hard counters to Drapion. It takes neutral from Aqua Tail, and Mud Bombs are super effective. Normally, like a ground type, like obviously Galarian Stunfisk isn't in this map, but even regular Stunfisk I can hit for super effective with Aqua Tail, or Nidoqueen I can hit for super effective with Aqua Tail, plus we resist the poison jabs. But Whiscash is definitely a hard counter. He gets to a move here, but this is just a Mud Bomb, so I'm kind of not worried about shielding it. It won't do much to an Obstagoon. We'd rather save our shields to something heavier hitting. And also at this point, the win con is Hypno. Machamp is just going to delete our Obstagoon, so he's just here to throw a cost drop and bail. And unfortunately, we see Registeel come out now. And Registeel is not the best response to Hypno. We can go ahead and throw Fire Punches, but it would have been really nice if he had a Nidoqueen. Machamp lead with a Nidoqueen in the back is not at all uncommon in this meta, because people are thinking, oh, you know, Machamp's weak to Charm, we want to counter Charm, and Hypno is one of the few Psychic types. Like, Confusion is not all over the place in Great League Remix. So these Fire Punches aren't quite a 2-hit KO, but if we take this into shield scenarios, the Confusions will add up to enough that the Fire Punch becomes a 2-hit KO. So I'm actually thinking I have a chance here. So we throw this Fire Punch to get the final shield from our opponent, and then we're actually going to make an aggressive swap into Obstagoon. It takes him a second to switch, and we're able to get to this cross chop. He sneaks a counter in there, and that counter actually cost me the match because he survives with 1 HP. If he hadn't snuck that counter, and he would have either had to throw on Obstagoon or just go down to a counter. Either way, my Hypno could have come in, and I actually would have had a shield left to deal with this Registeel. And with a shield, I would have been able to win that charge move race. He wasn't going to get to 2 charge moves, and this would have been an easy win. But unfortunately, the 1 HP on Machamp, PvP IVs matter, and we lose. So right away this time, actually, we go in, battle starting. That wasn't edited. That was like the moment I hit go in, it was just like, oh, hey, you get a battle. So going in, Whiscash into Obstagoon, this is basically a neutral lead. Whiscash does barely win this just because Mud Bomb slightly outpaces the Night Slashes, but it's not super lopsided, and if you get a boost on the first Night Slash, Obstagoon can actually easily flip this. But you're going to see right here, he is in fact going to survive this Night Slash and probably get 2 back-to-back Mud Bombs. And we sneak a counter in there. We can take a Mud Bomb, and I'm actually wondering if I can farm down now, but he Blizzards me. And I don't know why he did that, because if we'd shielded that, we could have farmed down and come out of that with huge energy. And then we get actually double burn there, because not only did he land a Blizzard on Obstagoon, we tried to farm down with the resisted Poison Stings, and it just took us 1 extra Poison Sting. The good news here is he comes in with a Registeel, which is not at all a good counter to Drapion. In fact, Whiscash was his lead, and Whiscash is his hard Drapion counter. So at this point, I'm thinking Drapion should have very solid play in the back. That was another reason to come in to farm down the Whiscash with Drapion, is I figured he wouldn't have an answer for it. We swap into Hypno here because he's built up a decent amount of energy on Registeel, and we'd rather soak that energy on Hypno than risk dying. Or risk having to go down 2 shields more like, because I really don't like to go down 2 shields to 0. We Fire Punch, he takes that, and at this point we're fine with shielding because we got a shield, and I'm very curious what he has in the back. And it's a Surfetch, which that explains why he wasn't switching out of the Registeel Hypno matchup, is he really didn't want Surfetch versus Hypno. If I'd known he had that Surfetch there, I might have just stayed in with the Drapion and let his Registeel take me out, but I was playing it safe rather than sorry. We let the Night Slash come through. We're going to come in here, and Surfetch cannot KO me with 1 charge move here if it's a charge move that takes him 5 counters to get through, so I was feeling confident over farming there. He could potentially one-shot me if he had Close Combat or Brave Bird, but he didn't even try to build up to it, so clearly he didn't. And now he's in Aqua Tail range, but we go for the crunch because honestly, in the moment the battle was happening, I kind of forgot he was in Aqua Tail range, and I wanted to play it safe and make sure my charge move KO'd because Poison Sting deals essentially nothing there. And that is another win in our legend run. Back to the lobby. Picking up another battle, this time we are up against Benjamin Valdo. I'm wondering if that's just his real name because that sounds like it could totally be a real name. We get it positively with Abomasnow, and he safe swaps Frostlass into Obstagoon, which this is an interesting safe swap because what that tells me is he is double weak to Obstagoon. We've already seen 2 Pokemon, but since we land the Night Slash, we go into Drapion on the theory that we can start applying very heavy charge move pressure with these Aqua Tails. And he's in Aqua Tail range. If he had shielded that Night Slash, we obviously have to be going for crunches here, and we probably would have shielded that initial Avalanche. But at this point, he either has to go down 2 shields to 0, which I'm fine with, or let the Frostlass go down and give me Switch. He chooses to let the Frostlass go down. We unfortunately are 1 Poison Sting short of a Aqua Tail. We got to it right as we died. If he hadn't been sneaking Powder Snows in, we could have gotten to that Aqua Tail and completely wrecked him, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. Throwing a couple confusions on the Whiscash, and then we come into Obstagoon basically just to soak this damage. We know we have Fire Punch on Hypno. We know we have a shield that we can use to confusion down the Frostlass. We don't have to worry about that. So at this point, we're just setting up the Hypno casual sweep. His one win con is potentially if he's able to go to Abomasnow and then CMP tie sack swap the Frostlass to get my shield and my energy. But honestly, at that point, even that's not actually going to save him because we're basically already at 2 Fire Punches. 1 confusion gets us to 2 Fire Punches. And the Abomasnow is energy dry, the Frostlass has 1 move. He comes in with the Frostlass, goes ahead and throws his 1 move. We shield it up. Even if I had been an Avalanche, I would have been fine with that. Fire Punch is going to completely delete Hypno it's going to completely delete Abomasnow. Frostlass comes back in, and another Fire Punch is going to delete the Frostlass. So, good game to my opponent. You kind of just got hard countered there. I don't think there was any way he could have possibly played out of that. Like, his win con there was basically for me to just gift him the match. So at this point, we are 3-2. We've actually already hit Legend, but that doesn't mean we're just going to let this match go. And there we go, CD's Nuts. Now, that guy, I don't know how he got his name through the name filter, but, you know, if you can get a name like that through the name filter, I guess I'm apparently going to say it on YouTube and get demonetized, even though I'm not monetized in the first place because I'm just doing this for fun. Anyway, we tried to force a CMP tie there because it's 12 turns to a Water Gun and 10 turns to a Night Slash. We threw it on the 12th turn, but he didn't fall for it. We sneak a counter in. We're throwing here. Even if he snuck a Water Gun in, still 1 turn away from the Weather Ball, and he actually just lets his Rainy Cast form go down. And this Frostlass is going to not be able to farm us down in time to avoid getting Night Slashed. And then right after we Night Slash the Frostlass, we actually aggressively swap because since we landed the Night Slash, that Frostlass is in confusion downrange and no longer that much of a threat to Hypno, so I didn't want to give him the extra energy farming. And then he brings Abomasnow in to go up against Drapion. Now, he's obviously going to, first of all, shield some crunches because these are going to practically annihilate him if he lets them go through. He's going straight Weather Ball. I'm not even considering the possibility this is an Energy Ball because it would be resisted. And we're able to do that. And we get to a crunch right before he's able to farm us down. He did sneak a Powder Snow through there, which that Powder Snow would have KO'd if I had tried to stay in. So he was going to Poison Sting down. So I figured might as well just swap to Hypno a while and start the confusion. Then he goes back to Frostlass. And we're just going to farm you all the way down. Frostlass doesn't even get to a move. And we then Thunder Punch instead of Fire Punching the Abomasnow because it has 1 HP and we can do that. So there we go. We are going to go ahead and now pick up our 4-1 rewards. You can see there we're flexing it. Grabbing that, going into a wild encounter. We get a not shiny Skarmory that's also not a hundo. throw an excellent throw on it, so there's a nice awesome bonus. It stays in the ball on the first try. And we are now going to claim our rewards, get our rating all the way up to 30-38, transition to legend, and get our poses, and there we go. So after getting that successful legend run on my 5th set on Sunday in Great League Remix, I figured I might as well just wait for Ultra League Remix to start before I decided to try and get my Pikachu Libre. Now, my basic reasoning for this team comp was Obstagoon Drapion was a really strong core in the Great League Remix, so I might as well just try that same core in the Ultra League Remix. The problem I ran into is Obstagoon is what we call a Budget Pokemon. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But basically, a Budget Pokemon is a Pokemon that is cheap and easily affordable to normal players who haven't invested their entire life savings and all of their free time into Pokemon Go. And those are, from my understanding, illegal in Ultra Remix. So I just decided, well, Obstagoon is a Dark-type counter user, Scrafty is a Dark-type counter user, and Scrafty costs 525,000 Stardust to build, meaning it's legal in Ultra Remix. I also had this rank 2 Scrafty sitting around. So I put the Scrafty and Drapion Safe Swap core together and just kind of tossed my level 49.5 Best Buddy Stunfisk in there, 100 IVs, and decided let's just jump in with this and see what happens. I'm not really much for testing teams ahead of time. I sort of just go into Go Battle League and see what happens. So jumping into our first battle here, we pick up a match against Knock 'em Dead. And we see a Scrafty into Berserker lead. So this is a positive lead for us. Berserker is obviously a steel type and can take super effective for fighting. They go straight into their Charm hard counter, and at this point I am a little bit worried that this is a double Charm team, which is going to be a bit tough for my team to deal with, especially if they end up saving their shields for the second Charmer. But if it is double Charm team, I kind of accept that I'm probably likely to lose, but I mean, you'll see how it plays out as the battle goes along. Anyway, Charm is really boring, so there's not much to say here. He's tapping his screen. We go ahead and throw a shield because if it is double Charm, it's definitely worth using my shield while I have the chance because he's not going to be throwing a lot of charge moves. He comes in with Berserker, and I'm just like, well, I'm a Dark type. He's throwing Shadow Claws. He's not going to be able to farm me down very easily. And we're going to deal a ton of damage with these crunches here. But then again, he might be fine with the fact that I'm dealing a ton of damage with crunches. Guess not, he shields one. Because, I mean, Scrafty's just going to come in and farm him down. So he throws a move, and I'm like, okay, he's probably got double close combats here. It's just a foul play. That's unfortunate. We swapped his Stunfisk to try and soak the second close combat. And at this point, if he's the second Charm user, I'm dead. It's a Jellicent, not a Charm user. We managed to throw a discharge, CMP tying on the Bubble Beam, and Stunfisk loses CMP to the Jellicent. And we're just going to start chipping away with these discharges. Shields are down on his end now after that discharge, so this one's going to land and start to deal damage. Basically, at this point, I'm kind of just throwing discharges and waiting for the switch shock to stall out. So my plan here, he's going to throw another Bubble Beam. We can survive this, and then I can swap to Scrafty and hopefully get to a foul play. And also, I have energy loaded on the Stunfisk, so I'll be able to come back in with that and potentially discharge him down in a second if he takes out the Scrafty. So throwing the foul play there on the 4th counter because once again I don't want to risk him sneaking an entire Hex in. I'd rather just give him one free turn of energy that's reliable. The Berserker is dry on energy, so an energy dry Berserker is not really a threat to Scrafty. I should have honestly just gone foul play here. I don't know totally why I threw the power up punch because he was low enough. It'd be better to just go for the KO. I let him get to a move for no reason. But Ironhead, he doesn't have close combat, so his move won't KO anyway, and we come out of that with just enough farm that we can now foul play down the Jellicent. I totally planned that. I knew I was going to come out of that with a foul play loaded. I did not know that at all, and you can see the timer actually almost ran out on that battle. So these Ultra Remix Pokemon that are XLs tend to be pretty bulky, and it makes for slower, longer battles. So after another 6 years in the lobby, we pick up a match against Jameis Assez. I am probably mispronouncing that, and it's Gengar into Scrafty. So that's actually not a super dominant matchup for Scrafty, especially if the Gengar has Sludge Bomb. It can win that in the Zero Shield. I believe Gengar lives a foul play, and the triple resisted counters obviously do essentially nothing. But he swaps straight into Scrafty, and I'm like, I have 2 Pokemon on my back line that are fine with taking on Gengar. I have nothing on my back line that really wants to go against Scrafty. So we might as well just stay in here, and I do have a rank 2 Scrafty, so I'm kind of hoping maybe I'll have an advantage here, but we just simultaneously KO. You can see I had more health left when his counter took me out, whereas he was left with like half a counter's worth of health at the end, but that doesn't matter, still a simultaneous KO. We go Drapion into Machamp. He sneaks a counter in because of course he does. And we're going to start throwing Aqua Tails. Now, Aqua Tail is not quite a 2-hit KO on Shadow Machamp in Ultra Remix, apparently. At this point, I'm just going to let this Cross Chop come through and throw my second Aqua Tail. And then I'm pretty sure I make a swap into Stunfisk. Because, yeah, we got a shield. Stunfisk is pretty tanky. It can take hits. But we do have to throw our shields at some point, so we shield a Cross Chop. I figure this is going to do more than anything except a Shadow Ball from a Gengar. And we throw the Discharge. He shields that. At this point, I'm like, okay, with the Mud Shots, he should be in Mud Bomb range. So we're going to go ahead, shield this up, because the Gengar, my plan is not to let the Gengar get to a move. He brings out the Gengar as we're over farming, and now we can just double Mud Bomb the Gengar. He's not going to get to a Shadow Ball here. We actually accidentally CMP tie. I should have theoretically thrown one sooner, but it doesn't really matter, or thrown a little bit later. But if I throw later, obviously I risk him getting to the Shadow Ball. So arguably what I did there actually was the right play, even if it wasn't totally the play I planned to make. We get to the Mud Bomb before he reaches a Cross Chop, and that's going to be a good game. So picking up a match against Jero-Az. And we get another Gengar into Scrafty. So let's see if he also switches out, and this time he goes to Stunfisk, which I'm a little confused by this play. Essentially, Stunfisk, I would say Stunfisk is actually a worse matchup for Scrafty than Gengar, because if you use the Gengar, if you have Sludge Bomb, first of all, you can 2-hit KO, and also Gengar triple resist the counters, and if the Scrafty baits and you call it, Gengar can flip that matchup even without having Sludge Bomb, just because Power Up Punch and counter do nothing. He gets to another move here. I'm like, yeah, dude, you did not get to an Earthquake. So Rock Slide comes in for a tiny smidgen of chip damage, but no big deal. He brings out a Machamp. I'm not sure I can get to the foul play, so I throw a Power Up Punch. That actually is going to turn out to be a mistake, because, see, we did live that next counter. We could have totally gotten to the foul play there. But, oh well, we're now up against a Machamp with about half health, and Shadow Machamp is honestly scary to the back half of my team. I'm no longer running this team because it's not actually that good. Too many Pokemon cause it serious issues. But we farm up a bit on the Stunfisk, throw a Mud Bomb, and we're hopefully going to be able to get to 2 Mud Bombs on this Shadow Machamp here. Picking up a bit of Go Battle lag for a second. I was like, did he disconnect? But he's still there. We throw the Mud Bomb against the Gengar real quick, and at this point I've got this match under control because we've got Drapion with shield advantage against Gengar. We resist Shadow Ball, we resist Sludge Bomb, we resist Shadow Punch. The only way he can really hurt us is if he's running Focus Blast. He clearly was not running Focus Blast because he didn't even try to shield and build up and catch me off guard with a Focus Blast. He just let the Gengar go, and that's a game. We're moving into our next match. And our next match is against Junkim0009. This guy's name has a lot of zeros followed by a 9. So we get a third straight Gengar lead. This was literally my first set in Ultra Remix. I didn't have to play that long to make this happen, but I've been noticing, I noticed less Gengars I seem to be running into as the match goes on, and this guy has the Sludge Bomb and decides to play it straight. So we go for the foul play, we get a shield, and then he swaps to Kingdra, and that tripped me up because I was like, okay, if he goes for another Sludge Bomb, it'll KO, and Gengar wins CMP and ties Scrafty to the charge move, so I would have thought once he shielded the foul play, we try to get to that power-up punch there, but don't quite make it. Anyway, I would have thought once the Gengar shielded the foul play, he would have just stayed in and gone for another Sludge Bomb, but he decided not to do it that way. He gets the Octazooka debuff. I arguably should have just switched out right away there. I might have been able to get to a charge move before this Kingdra even got to another Octazooka. In fact, I definitely would have. But anyway, he doesn't get the debuff that time. We build up a bit of extra energy and then throw the discharge, and that's going to take out the Kingdra. He brings the Gengar into the Stunfisk, and that is very interesting because at this point, I'm assuming essentially his Gengar is just a meat shield. I should have no-shielded this, potentially. Especially considering, yeah, see, it's just a Shadow Punch. I knew he was Energy Dry. I knew that was a Shadow Punch if I was counting, and it wouldn't have KO'd. But anyway, so yeah, slight misplay on my part. And my opponent is about to make the most of this. An Aqua Tail is not going to come anywhere close to KOing his Shadow Machamp at this range. So we're going to get off 2 Aqua Tails here. We're not going to quite make it to the third one, and this is going to be a loss. Yeah, I can pretty much already see the writing on the wall. I'm not sure I saw it at the time because obviously it's a lot easier to predict how matches are going to go when you've already played them. But anyway, we go down to our cross chop. We try to get to this Mud Bomb just for the moral victory, taking out the Machamp, and he's like, nope, no moral victory for you. You don't get moral victories. Hiya. And crushes my hopes and dreams, and I am now like, okay, fine, I'll go back to fighting people in Ace rank. So after another 6 hours in the lobby, we finally get a battle against Pet Aguila. And we are going Stunfisk into Scrafty. That's a positive matchup for our Scrafty. We are just going to go straight power-up punch here because the boosted damage on the counters, to me, is worth a lot more than the foul play. And also, if you throw the foul play, you risk him having a chance to shield and potentially screw you up. So he goes for the Earthquake here and then makes an aggressive swap into a Mewtwo. We're just going to stay in for a moment and go for the foul play. This is already buffed up with a power punch, so we're either going to deal big damage here or get a shield. We get a shield, and now we go into Drapion. I'm like, whatever, dude. Hit me with whatever you've got. Armor Mewtwo doesn't hit that hard and doesn't have a super effective move for Drapion. At least I don't think so. Armor Mewtwo might learn Earthquake, but in any case, we don't get hit by a surprise Earthquake from the Armor Mewtwo that it may or may not be able to learn. We get to a second crunch here, and this is going to be taking out the Armor Mewtwo unless, plot twist, he decides to go down 2 shields. And I'm like, okay, he threw a Dynamic Punch last time. We can live a Dynamic Punch here, and in ensuing confusion, he throws a Psy Strike instead of a Dynamic Punch. Not sure what the strategy was there, but in any case, makes an aggressive swap back to the Stunfisk. We throw an Aqua Tail on it to chip it away a little bit, and then bring in Scrafty, power-up punch it to take it out. And we're in a pretty good position here. We're up 2 shields to 0. He's got an almost dead Armor Mewtwo and another Pokemon in the back. So unless he has a very, very hard Stunfisk counter in the back, there is no chance he's going to win this. And the nice thing is, outside of Grass, Stunfisk really doesn't have a lot of hard counters. It can be like, it's weak to water, but it's also strong against water. It's weak to Grass would be like the hardest counter probably. It's weak to ground, but it's also strong against most ground types, just because most ground types like Galarian Stunfisk are also steel type, and you can hit them back with super effective mud bombs, but the Galarian Stunfisk is already dead, so he's definitely not bringing one of them out. And in any case, he has a Jellicent in the back, and this is a wrap. We're just going to have to keep spamming out discharges. He doesn't have any shields. We've got shields. We know this is a Bubble Beam, but might as well use our shields at some point. And we could just throw the discharge here, but instead we decided to catch on Drapion because we can catch on Drapion. And now I bring the Stunfisk back in, build up a little bit more energy, throw the discharge, Take out the Jellicent, our Mewtwo comes back in, and we get to the Mud Bomb. Obviously, have a shield left over. Don't bother tapping any of the bubbles, and the Armored Mewtwo dies. And that battle had 12 seconds left on the timer when I won. So, very long, drawn-out battle between tanky Pokemon. We pick up a 4-1. We pick up our Pikachu Libre. We go ahead and Silver Pineapple it because it's a rare Pokemon, even though Pikachu candies aren't hard to come by. I don't know, it's more of a habit than anything. Whenever something's rare, I Silver Pineapple it. This thing is going to turn out to be 12, 15, 12, so terrible IVs. So obviously that's a little bit disappointing to get that as my Pikachu Libre, but then again, it's mostly just trade bait to potentially give to someone else. I already got the shiny last season, so I can't complain too much. Comment below if you have anything cool you want to talk about, tips, suggestions, etc. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in the future. I am going to be putting out more videos, probably not super often, but maybe once a week or so on strategy and spice picks for PvP. I know this isn't necessarily the highest quality video you've ever seen, but I subscribe to the idea that anything worth doing is worth doing badly, because if you start doing something badly, you'll get better at it. So I just figured might as well get this video out, and I'll keep making them, and they'll probably get better as time goes on. See ya.